Hello, this is Adrian. I have not done any vlogging for some time now. I've been meaning to get my face back on camera to both challenge myself, to develop my self-expression in my spoken word, to develop assist myself in developing self-trust and self-honesty through my spoken word, as for some time now I've really only been writing. I used to do a lot more vlogging, so anyway, here I am. So I suppose the reason I haven't done much vlogging is that to my surprise, my process has taken some steps backwards. It's almost as though I've had to take steps backwards in order to move forward, so to speak. In terms of doing away with fantastical fantasy sort of like ideas about my process, because in the beginning of my process I was almost very zealous and overambitious, as though I could move faster than than is actually really possible. That's not to say that there are not things that I could have done better in the time that I've been less active with vlogging. It feels as though almost every mistake I make in my life, or step back, so to speak, that I take in my process is a deliberate one. And so yeah, I suppose that's appropriate that my first vlog back, so to speak, is really just looking at process in itself. I don't necessarily have anything specific to talk about, but this point of me here establishing myself within my process. I've found it obviously very difficult to establish the wording I want to use is my footing, but like some grounding, some stability, because one thing about process that I've found is not only is it very difficult and very challenging, but you also have to be consistent within the difficulties and challenges, consistent in persisting, because there's just so many layers of yourself, of your own mind to work through that. Hello. Sorry, some little girl just said hi to me. Cool, I'll not shy, how unafraid she is to just talk to strangers. It's cool. Anyway, yeah, it's like every time you move past a layer of yourself, of your own mind, of your own self-limitations, there's just another one waiting. These layers of yourself that exist as, they exist as beliefs and ideas about yourself and life and the world that dictate your behavior patterns. And so yeah, it's like every time you move through one point or pattern, there's just another waiting to rope you back in. And on top of that, there's like a tendency I find to almost want to celebrate every time you move past a point, which is like the ultimate deception, making something more out of your process than what it is. One point that I really did want to specify within this sort of, call it, coming back to process in terms of being more openly visible in my process, is how daunting it can feel sometimes. Because of all these layers that I mentioned, and I mean, I don't know, maybe that's not everybody, maybe that's just me. I can't necessarily speak for everybody that specifically, but you know, I've lived quite extensively in my mind in terms of developing like a kind of like super ego as an identity for myself within this world. You know, setting myself up in every possible way in my own mind to ensure that I am almost like constantly at war with my reality. Not only at war, but set up in such a way that within this war I will always be the one that wins. I will always be the one that dominates and comes out on top. And you know, as you find out, as every single day, as you're reminded virtually in every moment that you're here in this reality, that's simply not how things actually work. You know, within this process of equalizing yourself with your actual physical self and your reality, you know, there's a lot of unlearning how to be this way. And you know, the experience of it being daunting it's fascinating, because that is also in itself a mental experience. It's like a firewall to even being able to start your own process. You know, so there's been lots of times where, like I say, I've wanted to almost like get ahead of myself and charge myself up, and you know, where I've really had like the best intentions, so to speak, and from that make, you know, grand ideas about how I'm really going to do it in my process, how I'm really going to apply myself and try hard, and you know, it's like this time I'm going to really do my best and make it work. And part of, you know, not re-engaging myself is that fear that I will make such statements and develop such intentions only to fall back. And you know, that in a way that's a mistake on my part. Not that I'm saying you should deceive yourself with intentions, but you know, at least when you talk the language of self-forgiveness and self-correction, and you put that out there, and you make that statement either like with yourself or within your reality, it's like you've put that out there to hold yourself up to that point, so to speak, as opposed to just automatically going, nah, I could never do that, that's impossible. You know, and that's sort of the point of this whole video is, and I suppose the point of this process, right? Because it is about transcending yourself, after all, about moving past all your limitations, everything you believe to be impossible and difficult and all that, is to never give up, is to always keep moving, keep pushing, no matter how difficult it is. Because I mean, I want to say like it's always worth it in the end, but that's almost like an obvious statement. It's already enough to simply recognize the state that this world is in, that people are in, and I suppose that's sort of where I'm at now, is no matter how deep in I might be, so to speak, to my habits and my own mind and the way I see myself in reality, you know, what I can certainly see and recognize beyond the shadow of a doubt is that things in this reality are pretty messed up, and it's getting like really bad at like a fast rate. It seems like it's happening faster and faster every day. So it's fascinating how we use things that we see and hold as positive in our reality to blind ourselves from this, whereas it's almost like the negative, so to speak, and what we experience as negative, it's like that seems to be the only thing in this reality that really actually supports me to frankly just wake the fuck up and get real about my process and sorting myself out and sorting this reality out. So you know, as Destiny is consistently shared, this process is very much about giving. You've really got to give in order to receive. You've really got to give up that which you hold as positive, that which you hold as essential to you and your life, that which you identify with. And everyone's so afraid of that, and yet we're all gonna have to do it eventually, inevitably anyway. I mean, at death. I remember reading maybe a week ago something written by Steve Jobs, the Apple guy, just before he died, where he sort of, you know, he realized, I guess because he was terminally ill and he was near the end, how meaningless so much of his life had been, and basically how it had all kind of been for naught, you know. So it's like, by living within our own self-interest and dedicating our lives to that, we inevitably realize this stuff anyways at the point of death, when we're forced to give it all up. But then it's too late at that point. So let's not wait till it's too late. Note to self. So yeah, I'm here to support myself, and of course the whole point of sharing this video is to share my process, to support others to do, you know, to participate in their own processes, because again, of the nature of how difficult this can be. But there's fantastic opportunity if we really stand up, firstly as individuals and then together as a group. You know, if you're serious about this process, you want other people to support you by giving you feedback, by giving you cross-reference, by showing you the things that you don't necessarily see, and perhaps telling you the things that might be hard to see or that you've trained yourself to not want to see. If one is serious about that process, we should welcome that feedback that the mind might tend to perceive as negative. So that is the point of sharing this video. Please speak up, comment, share, like, support, all that stuff. We're all in this together, so to speak. So thanks, that's all for today. See you guys next time.